Hello everyone, and welcome back to this special segment of TowerGate. I am making this video because, of course, in the past 24 hours we have heard a lot about this 4-page FISA memo that was recently viewed by many members of Congress that detail the corruption and the criminal activity that went on regarding FISA applications, FISA warrants, and how they were used against the Trump administration during the 2016 campaign. Now, I'm doing this video not so much for my regular viewers who watch my videos every day and go step by step with me as we unpeel each layer of this onion to arrive at the truth. I'm doing this video, although you all are welcome to watch this video as well, but I'm really doing this video for those individuals out there who do not watch my videos, have never watched one of my videos, may not have followed the story of the dossier or the deep state coup or any of that. Some of you may get your news from liberal media outlets such as MSNBC or CNN or New York Times or BuzzFeed or someone like that. So you really have no idea what's going on. But now that you've heard about this 4-page memo and how damaging it may be, you suddenly have had your interest piqued. There may be some of you who tune to Fox News and you think, okay, Fox is the place where I'll really get to the truth, and to some extent Fox News is doing a pretty good job. But I need to tell you that they're way behind where we are here at TowerGate, and there's big gaps in the way that they're covering this story right now. Even after the release of the 4-page memo, if in fact they do release it, and I believe they will, to the general public, there will still be big gaps. And so the purpose of this video today is to break what may be to a lot of you something you don't understand, something kind of complex, something kind of confusing to you, and make it very simple and break it down for you to tell you exactly what this 4-page memo is trying to tell us. So I'm going to do that for you now. And so this FISA memo has a backstory to it. And all the work that I've done over the past 9 months culminates into everything that I'm going to tell you here. And I can assure you, if you get your news from any of the corporate media outlets, you have not heard this at all. And everything I'm going to tell you is either fact-based and can be proven, or if it's an opinion or something I think, I will tell you that. Alrighty? Let's get to it. The FISA memo and Hillary's dossier. The backstory. The FISA memo exposes the corruption within the DOJ and the FBI and their unlawful use of FISA 702 request and 702.17 queries. Essentially, the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI to target a political opponent. In this video, I will explain how the intelligence information was extracted and passed along to Confusion GPS, and how it was then repackaged and reconstituted into the Steele dossier. I would also like to thank Sundance for a lot of the revelations that I'm about to bring to you now, Sundance being the key to a lot of the information that I've come across as I've been doing my work on the dossier and the deep state coup. First, let's get familiar with the players involved in the scheme. We have the inside players and we have the outside players. We have two groups within the inside players. That would be the FBI and the DOJ. First, let's look at the inside players at the Department of Justice. That would include Assistant Attorney General Sally Yates, Assistant Attorney General at the National Security Division John Carlin, Deputy Attorney Bruce Orr, and FBI DOJ Liaison Attorney Lisa Page. Those are the inside players from the Department of Justice. Now the inside players at the FBI. We have FBI Director James Comey, Assistant FBI Director Andrew McCabe, Director of Counterintelligence Bill Priestap, FBI Legal Counsel James Baker, and the lead FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok. Then we have the outsiders. That would include Confusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson, his wife Mary Jacoby, Nellie Orr, who is the private contractor to Fusion GPS and wife of Bruce Orr. And we have former MI6 agent Christopher Steele. During the period of November 2015 through April the 18th, 2016, so that's November of 2015 through April 18th of 2016. Very important dates, get them in your mind. From November 2015 until April 18th, 2016. The Justice Department, political insiders, and outside political contractors, including Confusion GPS, accessed the NSA and FBI database using FISA 702.17 queries. This was done to gather information on Donald Trump and Trump campaign officials. This allowed Confusion GPS to conduct opposition research using the resources of the NSA database, where all communications are collected and stored. This began in November 2015 and it lasted until April 2018, the 18th of April 2018 to be exact. The queries were stopped on the 18th because NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers discovered the illegal activity and he ordered his compliance officer to do a full 702 FISA audit. The audit confirmed Rogers' initial observation that unlawful queries were taking place and had taken place for quite an extended period of time, and the source of the queries included non-government private contractors, third parties, specifically Confusion GPS. For those of you still a little confused about what I just told you, let me try to make it even simpler. A third party, a non-government entity, a private contractor, was given access via the FBI systems to the NSA database. After confirmation by the compliance officer at NSA, Admiral Rogers shut down all access to the private contractor on April the 18th, 2016, at which time the FBI officials involved in the illegal activity realized that Rogers was on to them and that they had been discovered. And that set in motion the following actions. First, the FISA Court, after being briefed by Rogers, investigated and then filed a document known as the Improper Disclosures of Raw Information that confirmed the NSA director and his auditor's findings. The document from the FISA Court was entered into the record in late April of 2017. What we're saying here is that once Admiral Rogers went to the FISA Court and said, I've just had an audit of 702.17s, a lot of unlawful activity going on, you may want to look into that. They did. They looked into it, and you can review the document for yourself. It clearly shows the dates and everything else, and it clearly shows that the FBI had somehow, for some reason, granted access to a private contractor, a third party, to the NSA database. Confirmed. Based on the information in the dossier, it is logical. Excuse me. Based on the information in the dossier, it is logical to conclude that the unlawfully obtained FISA intelligence information found its way to the Central Collection Unit. That would be Confusion GPS, meaning the information that was being pulled out of the NSA database was being collected by Confusion GPS. After being shut down by Admiral Rogers and the FISA compliance audit, Fusion needed another way to access information. as they were now under contract with the rotten Reverend Clinton, the Hillary Clinton campaign, Crooked Hillary. So what we see here is that Fusion GPS and the FBI realize once Mike Rogers shut them down that they needed a new way to continue getting that information, because they had just brought on their new client in April of 2016, the Clinton campaign. Enter Nellie Orr. 1 week after losing access, Confusion GPS brought in Nellie Orr, Russian expert, CIA asset, former associate of the CIA and Confusion GPS co-founder Glenn Simpson, and wife of DOJ Deputy Bruce Orr. Nellie, as part of the CIA network, could use her husband Bruce's high-level DOJ NSD access to continue gathering FISA 702 data. The game was back on. So what we're saying here is that once Fusion GPS realized, along with their collaborators and FBI counterintelligence, that Mike Rogers had shut them down, they needed to find another way to get that FISA access. So they brought in Nellie Orr, whose husband was deputy at the DOJ and also the number 4 man in counterintelligence at the DOJ, NSD, that's the National Security Division of the Department of Justice. So now that they had Nellie and the game was back on, Nellie, along with Simpson and his wife, Mary Jacoby, extracted data into a draft, a narrative, a storyline that painted a false story of loose connections between candidate Trump and Russian entities. These transcripts were then passed along to another Confusion GPS contractor, retired MI6 agent Christopher Steele, the purpose being to give the story credibility and to mask or hide the true source of the material. This back and forth collaboration of transcript editing and memo assembly between Nellie Orr and Christopher Steele became Hillary's dossier, all $12 million worth. The truth is that Steele was not the author of the dossier at all, just the person that would give credibility to the dossier, and to become, in the end, he would become the salesman for the dossier. This is why the finished product would be credited to Confusion GPS and not Christopher Steele. Steele's identity and involvement was never supposed to be known to the public. In summary, the dossier was a counterintelligence operation using inside players, the FBI and the DOJ, along with outside players, Confusion GPS and Christopher Steele, to take down the president on a coup after his election. So now we have a new term to understand in the American lexicon. That term is intelligence laundering. We've all heard of money laundering. It's very common. But now what we see that happened here was essentially intelligence laundering. Christopher Steele didn't write the dossier. He was just the cleaner. When you're laundering money, you take a bunch of money to someone who, for a hefty fee, will clean that money for you. In this particular case, the intelligence information was taken to Christopher Steele so that he could clean it, to prepare it for its release in the form of a dossier. The Mueller team was put together to cover up the crime and to distract from anyone discovering the truth. That has failed. Thank you so much for tuning in. I urge you to tune into tomorrow's video, Saturday TowerGate video, where we're going to go in and take a hard look and a deep dive into the Uranium One scandal. Another thing that's quite complex and very confusing. I'm going to break it down for you and make it very, very easy to understand exactly what that is all about and where it's leading. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys enjoy your evening. Take care.